starting point. Lots of turf, I'm not going to do a bit more. And I'm just going to plate block in approximately. I'm not worrying about the exact edge. I'm going to draw all that later. So you're starting out with more and more, it's more and more general first of all, and then becomes more specific and more detailed later, not now. I don't want to do a neat drawing and then carefully colour it in. I want to find it. But actually I prefer this for this because it's clear, it's just easier to look at coloured shapes. And I'm seeing the shape of this, which is the shape of where her stomach is there. And I'm just getting on an approximate blue for this sort of skirt part that she has. It's good for you, Kate, because you actually get to see this. It's very unusual, because normally when you're modelling, you don't have a clue what people are doing. It's more interesting. Get to watch TV. Actually, I like that bit where she has a bit of a different colour there, so I might, and then she's got a bit of a different colour going on there. I'm using different brushes. Close enough. Yes, I'm pretending that's covering up a bit of her arm that isn't, but then I'll reveal this other arm in an interesting way on that side. Learn from doing it. And the other thing that happens is that if you're doing a lot, it stops you from being so precious, because it's a little bit scary when you first start, because you think, oh, I want this to be good and I don't really like it. But if you say, oh, look, I'm just doing tons and tons of them, and I'm just, then you lose that feeling of preciousness and you do better things. So you're actually better to do more. And I think when you're starting out too, you're actually better to have a huge amount of inexpensive material than a small amount of really expensive. What we're doing is we're painting on a white background, which of course is, you know. Now the reason why paintings are white is because sometimes you might want the transparency. This I'm blotting on has got a transparency and quite a nice light look to it, which you might want. And this painting that I'm talking about by this artist that's in the Queensland Gallery, is a French artist, an early 20th century painting, is on probably a sort of a dark greyish, it's a dirty dark background, and so it can put the lights on. So instead of what I'm doing here, I'm only putting dark things on. You can actually put lights on as well. So, you know, you can put white bits and all that. So I'm just going around here and I'm going to think, what am I going to do here? I'm going to do some bullshit. But you see, I'm showing you how this is also important. It's a painting. It's not just her floating in outer space. It's actually about all the shapes and how they connect. And it won't be a great design because this is really good. I'll just get it on. Oh, thank you. It's very nice of you. So I'm just trying to get everything. What I'm doing now is I'm just trying to. I'll put that. No, I'll make it purple and then I'll change it. Acrylic paint is not, unlike what a lot of people would think, the dumber, more childish, less advanced version of oil paint. It's a whole other thing in its own right. So it's not. This is for people who are professionals, and that. No, that's not true. They both have different qualities, and it depends on how you paint as to what suits you. People who like acrylic paint like the fact that you can use one brush, that it dries fast, and that you can. It dries fast enough for you to paint over the top of it. I am an oil painter. You know, I'm just saying how it is. There is actually, Matisse Paints have actually got a box with my face on it advertising it, acrylic paint, but I'm not really an acrylic painter. I do use it for what I was saying. And I'm not, because I like the fact that the paint stays wet, and I like the fact that you can wipe it off, and I like the fact you can muck around it, and I like this is oil paint. I like the fact that if this was painted a year ago, 5 years ago, it would be exactly the same colour, and I would be able to mix up the same colour and put it on, whereas acrylic dries a bit darker and you can't mix it in. It's a bit different. I don't care that we don't know. We know what that red thing is in the background because you can see that's there. Anyone else seeing this painting wouldn't know what that was, but I don't care because it's a red thing on the wall. I'm not trying to make it like a portrait of this fire hose. It's a red shape. I thought, oh, that makes a nice shape, so there we've got it as a shape, which is how you need to look at things in terms of shape. All right, is I will stand back and look at this and say, all right, is that how I want it? Now, I'm not thinking about is that the right drawing or how. We're not worrying about the drawing yet. It's about the positioning. Do I like where I positioned her in the canvas? Do I think I want to change something? Radical changes is now where I would make these things. Flesh colour, something like that flesh colour that I had, and I'm looking at this here. It's too dark. So you don't know sometimes whether it's too dark, too light, or right till you put it on. Don't be afraid of putting it on and then taking it off and changing it. Drawing where our hand is by painting what's around us. Because what's around is this is what you call a negative space. So these are the spaces around things. I'm finding where all that is from that. And again, I'll also repeat that if I was going to do quite a realistic painting, I would still start like this. It's just that you gradually refining, until you end up with little details. And that's the same principle. I'm seeing some of these shadows on there. All right, so now I'm going to have a look at this. This is all totally different in my painting to what's there. I can see, in reality, there's Kate's shoulder there and there's that. I just changed that. Okay, so this is a beautiful colour, the yellowy colour on that. Now, and I'm going to just place some highlights on this. A few bit shadowy bits in here. What I'm also trying to do, which I hope that you can see, is I'm trying not to finish off anything first. That's really, really important. No bit is finished, because everything is seen in relation to everything else. The thing is, how do I know if it's the right shape or the right size or the right colour until I can see it in relation to everything else? Get that back up there, right? So, now, that shade there, a bit darker there, a bit darker there. Colour and flesh is a whole other ballgame, and not enough time to really go into that, so I'll just... But it walks there, how it exists in relation to everything else. Very nice having a fanner, isn't it? Very luxurious. I know, it's hot. This is why you're not wearing a coat. Okay, shadow under her face. Dirty. Shake out the shape of her face, drawing the shape of her face there at the side by drawing the hair. That's wrong, that needs to come through there, go like that. So it's not like it's all there, if it's wrong or you want to change it, you just change it like that. I'm going to move that across. A bit better. let's have a look what's going on elsewhere. A bit more hair on the top and more elsewhere, leave that alone. Not finished, no bit's finished. It's not like I'm saying I finished that bit, now I'm doing something else. I haven't finished any bit. It's all in flux and it's all still happening. And a bit there. I wouldn't normally be using that same brown everywhere, but I've just got it on the brush and I'm conscious of time. Just extra brown in there maybe. Darker. Yeah. Okay, oh yes, now, but let's look at this. This is an interesting thing. Down here, I'm putting this, she's got on this blue skirt thing, she has the lighter blue and then she also has a darker blue bit. And I'm just pretending it goes like that. So I'm now getting some white on my brush, and this is how you would do it. Place it on. Picked up a bit of blue, wipe it off. This seems like, oh, it's so difficult. It's just practice, and you do actually, you get used to it. You don't even know you're doing it after a while. So what I'm doing when I'm doing this with these white blobby things that I'm putting on her skirt is I am placing it on. Now what I mean by placing it, I mean I'm just putting it there rather than rubbing it in. So there it is. Wipe my brush, which has lifted off some of the blue. Do a bit of that with these flowers on here too. We're going, what's the time? Yep. Bring it to a bit of a... I'll go for a bit longer. Alright, so now I'm going to do some of the other flowers on her top. Mixing up a pinky winky colour here with what's a rosemary type colour, which is like a lolly pink for a nice pink flower. And I also think that it looks more interesting if you have a painting which has a range of different blues, a range of different reds, and a range of different pinks in it. Okay. And a blue, and what else? There's an orangey one that's an orange. Let's do that. You're okay, Kate? And maybe a blue one. And then it becomes not too much of a problem. The other thing is that most people do when they first start painting oils is make a bit of a mucky, muddy mess because of that. But again, you get used to it. All right, now since in this short amount of time I won't be able to finish it, so I'm going to just bring it to a quick ending by doing a few bits and pieces. Let's find a sort of let's get a bit of work on her face and arms, and then we might leave it. I won't get into all that, but you've got the theory, which is what all this is about, I think, not about, it's impossible to do. But the main thing is you can see you can understand that the intention and the process. So I'll just do this, and then I'm going to get on to doing a bit more of her sort of very straight down there. I'm also seeing that I've given her too much of a shoulder, and I'm just going to trim that down by trimming down her shoulder with this. See in the background. Take that down a bit too. Just think I should just do something there, just put some sort of shape there, so you know what colour that is. You just don't want to leave it white because I wanted to show you that you need to consider the whole thing. I would never normally do this, I would have planned that, but I'm whacking a colour in there because I don't want you to think that you would just leave that because it doesn't matter. It matters as much as her. I'm more interested in her than that, but it's all part of it. You know, so you need to think of that too. Okay, so, and I'm also thinking, it looks like it's all moving down too much like this. Actually, let's just show you a few more things before I get on to that with her face. I feel like this is all going down too much. I need something. So I'm going to pretend that whatever that is behind her, I'm going to pretend stops there. Because even though it might be a picture of Kate sitting in here, it is a painting, which a painting is always about, not just about the subject, even if it's a picture of something, it's also about shapes and colours and things, and that I'm considering all those things too. Mirror. I usually have a little mirror from a $2 shop that is about the size of this. Just a cheap, really cheap one, so you're not worried about getting paint all over it. And I stand like this, and I'm looking at it like a rear view mirror. Now, the reason I do that is because it's like getting a fresh look. It doesn't some weird, complicated thing about reversing it and something I can't even imagine. It's like putting it away for a week or two and then looking at it freshly. Because you know, if you're painting, if you've been doing something for a long time, you can't see it after a while. Another thing which is about a fresh look is to turn it upside down, which I also do. Now I turn it upside down, not because I'm trying to, see I've just noticed something about it I didn't see before, down. The reason why I've turned it upside down is so that I can now stop thinking about Kate and what she looks like and now look at the shapes. Because yes, it might be a picture of a person, but it's also about the shapes and colours. And now I've done that, I've noticed, which I didn't notice before, is that that and that are on the same level. It's a compositional thing. It's only a red blobby thing in the background, but it's part of the painting. And I think, well, I don't like that. Maybe that should go in that direction, or maybe whatever. But we won't go into that. But you can understand about how it helps you to see things that you would not. I would not be going onto a face when I still haven't resolved everything else. Okay, I'm telling you that. But I will do that just so that you can get an idea of how I would keep working. So you saw how I did that. Now I would see, okay, this needs to come in more there. That needs to come in more there. All that's wrong. All of that drawing needs fixing, but I don't have time to do that. I'm noticing how, you know, that upper lip is light and is darker than the lower lip, which it normally would be. Just doing that lightly, seeing that there's a shadow there. So we're trying to get a nice warm colour for a nose. No, it's too dark, but it's slightly pink, and that's nice because it makes it look healthy. It's alive, flesh colour, not pasty. Not needing to do all that. You don't really need to. I'm trying to get something a little bit darker there. Oh yeah, that's coming up a bit. Sorry, it's not a very nice picture of you because you're very nice looking, but it's not so nice. More time for you, need a bit more time for your true beauty, I think. Wait a minute, get it where it's a bit drier. There, it's coming. So what I do is I usually use it, let's pretend that we want this. I use it for its texture. So I use it and I let the texture be there rather than blending it in. Nice texture, isn't it?